Hey Bat fans, Luke here, back ready to talk another Bat book. And today we're going to take a look at Batman, issue number 41. Was not originally planning on doing a video today, but I figured I'd go ahead and do it now while I have some time in the car in the event I want to be able to talk another book with y'all this weekend. Don't know for sure. Reason being, I didn't get my books yet. I was able to get my hands on two from an extra copy I was able to get, so my books still in the mail. I hopefully should have it later on today. But I know one for sure, if I can talk about it, will be the Batman Sins of the Father book that came out this week. So I figured if I want to be able to talk about that potentially, I wouldn't want to do that without talking Batman. This one, again, is about Batman 41, and if I have some time toward the end, we'll sneak in a couple short words about Batman, Wonder Woman, The Brave and the Bold, issue number 1 that came out also this week. This book here, again, this is the extra copy I was able to get my hands on to my other books coming. This is the variant cover by Olivier Coipel. It's a really awesome cover dealing with a lot of the theme of the story that you're going to see inside, that being Poison Ivy. And another thing that makes this issue really awesome is it sees the return of Michael Yanin return. I think this is just another two-parter, I believe. Following, we had the story with Joel Jones, and I can't remember what stories after this one. I know Tony S. Daniels picking up at issue number 45. So this might be more than a two-part. I can't remember. Either way, it's good to see Yanin back on arc because he actually just slayed it in this issue. It was just eye candy to say the least. And there was some, like in this two-page splash here, that we saw a lot of during the war of jokes and riddles. This page in particular, to see these just great panel layouts. Very J.H. Williams III-esque, but Yanin's just his art is just awesome to look at, and this particular two-page splash just accentuated it all. But if I had really kind of sum up this issue in particular, it's simple. Simple in that not a whole heck of a lot happened in this issue. It laid down the foundation of the story that's going to continue, and that is Ivy more or less taking over the world, save Batman and Catwoman. And that's, again, what you see in this issue. I mean, it's simple. But what I like about how it's simple is Tom King has a way of making the simple really look just awesome as you're reading it. And that initially, Batman or Bruce and Selina become under the control of Ivy, but Bruce is able to kind of pick up on what the heck's happening before he can inoculate himself, before actually laying a pretty good right-hand uppercut on Alfred. But as he's able to inoculate him and Selina, they're basically the only two people in the world thus far who are not under this mind control of Ivy. And if they're the only ones who are not, that means that members of the Justice League are. They're all under this control of Ivy, where they all saying, where Ivy's like, I love you, and then everyone's saying, I love you too, to Ivy. This includes everyone from Superman to Wonder Woman, and this, like, oh gosh, this freaking art in this issue is just beautiful. Whereas Tom King might do a really good job of really making this simple, just really stand out. Yanin just makes the really gifted and possible complexes look relatively simple, but man, is it eye candy too. Wonder Woman, and then Flash also under the control of Ivy with Alfred, and that's basically it. As Batman was getting ready to take another sucker punch, Alfred is actually under control of Ivy, when like telepathically, and like Ivy speaking through Alfred as Bruce is getting ready to hit Alfred, and Flash jumps in and takes the shot, protects Ivy, lays himself out. But that's really the issue. I mean, I really can just sum it up that way, is that Ivy now has control of, under the telepathic powers of anyway, of everyone in the world except Bruce and Selina now. and again, even Alfred's into it. So I mean, that's really it. But what I like about it is it's just how this kind of ties in that. I mean, Catwoman and Selina always had a really unique relationship, and now that that's come up with, the upcoming marriage between Bruce and Selina, and how this is going to be received by Ivy, is this going to be a totally different character switch from what we've been used to seeing as of late. But what really has me intrigued again is that even Selina saying it right here, and how can she, the League, our families, all of them, how do we react to this? Because we haven't really seen it, but I'm also assuming this is members of the Bat family as well, Nightwing and Batgirl. So it's now literally Bruce and Selina against the world. And what I kind of like about this too is that it can really take the opportunity to really develop this relationship between these two, make it even stronger as they kind of progress through this issue. So, I mean, that said, while I kind of praise the story for being intriguing yet how simple it is, I did kind of have some notions to it to where I don't know. As of late with Ivy, even going back to the New 52, she was sort of like, even right now with Harley Quinn. I know Harley Quinn's kind of in its weird place where it's like, is it in continuity, is it not? But Poison Ivy, as of late, has been one that's been kind of like Selina was. Kind of toting the line a little bit. Not necessarily bad, but not necessarily good either. And this seems to me like it's going to be a total shift where she's going to revert back to being bad. And I don't know. I guess I'm okay with that. I just hope it's just done with class. And with Tom King, I'm sure it will be, but I don't know. It just seems like this was just kind of sudden, to be perfectly frank. Maybe he has a good explanation. We'll see. It depends on how he kind of fleshes it out, but again, from what we've been used to seeing Ivy, this just seems a little bit out of character. So we'll see. We'll see. Another thing I kind of maybe wonder, it's not really explained yet how everyone is now under the mind control of Ivy. This kind of rings a lot. I see this. Remember the Batman movie with Jim Carrey where he played the Riddler, where he's like at the mind control device on top of all the buildings. They have the big question mark. It's like that concept kind of accentuated with this page right here. It's just, I'm assuming that's where it's going to happen. This is like ground zero for how she's going to protect herself and how she's going to insinuate all of this mind control. And how it's done, we don't know yet. So it's just kind of like, I'm intrigued by the concept, but I'm also kind of confused. So is this like a pollen thing where we've got this massive plant that's kind of protecting her too? Or is it kind of spreading its pollen, which enable her to do the mind control? I don't know. It seems kind of a little far-fetched because I know from what I remember with Ivy, which she obviously the whole concept of being, under mind control of her, it's not foreign. It only comes with a touch or a kiss, whatnot. But this is like a mass group of people, and how she's doing the mind control, I'm assuming it's going to have to be, like I said, like a pollination type thing, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Another thing, again, it looks like with Bruce and Selina being the only ones not under the control right now, Ivy. But then again, you see, Superman and Wonder Woman and then Flash. Are we seeing yet another case of Batman versus the Justice League, even though they're under mind control? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I like it, but we just had it with Endgame, and I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Lastly, one thing that kind of struck me kind of odd is that, I mean, Bruce and them were literally waking up, and Bruce and Selena, like in mid-sleep, where he realized that he was, first off, how he put two and two together, that he was under some sort of mind control from Poison Ivy. I thought it was a little bit of a stretch, and then all of a sudden he had the cure. I know Batman is super prepared and all, but that one was a little bit of a stretch. But unless something happened, he went from being like butt naked with Selena coming out of bed, and then next panel, sort of after, it's like they're both clothed in bed. I don't know. It just felt kind of jarring to me. I don't know. This was a fun story. I liked it. The art was great. Again, Yanin just slayed it. His art is just awesome. And I'm really excited to see what he does with Ivy going into the story, because I think it can really lend well to his style. But the story right now, it's kind of, I don't know. It's simple. It's a simple story. In reality, not a whole heck of a lot happening in the issue. But I am a little intrigued. At the same time, I'm a little going in a little, not jaded, but guarded. Some guarded optimism. We'll see. I think a lot of it's going to depend on how he kind of finish up, or how Tom King kind of wraps everything together and plays things out. Because right now, again, simple, relatively story. Everyone's under the mind control of Poison Ivy. That's basically it. If I had to grade this one, I hate to say this. It's like a 2.5 out of 5. Average. I think the art really stepped this up. Without the art being as good as it is, this probably could have been a 1.5, 2, mainly because not a whole heck of a lot even happened. But then again, the things getting flushed out later, maybe it could potentially, in hindsight, bump up the grade. But this one, average, and I say average as in, I think it's a good average. Again, the art, I think this issue alone is worth it for the art. But again, one that didn't blow me away as far as story and actual reading content inside. This is more eye candy. So if you haven't looked at it, this would probably be like a 4 out of 5 for the art, and like a 1 out of 5 for the story. Kind of put it halfway in between, something like that. So overall good, but still 2.5 out of 5. Mediocre read, but still nice to look at. And quickly, just mention a few words about Batman and Wonder Woman, The Brave and the Bold. This is issue number 1, a 6-issue miniseries. I obviously been keeping up with Wonder Woman as well, even though I only talk about really Batman books here. But I do read Wonder Woman, and I do hold Nicola Scott and Liam Sharp's run of Wonder Woman in really high regard with Greg Rucka. I thought it was an excellent read and fun time. This 6-issue mini is going to be written and drawn by Liam Sharp, and the art is just really great inside. It's like pretty much the second page you open up and get this 2-page splash of this place, Terranog. It was just basically like this other world where it's being held on on the brink of destruction, because there was really it was like a pact between all the people who were there, and this individual here that I can't remember his name, but he was kind of put there to keep the peace between the people, but now the peace is really on the brink of falling apart, and now it leads this individual to reach out to Wonder Woman to come and kind of save the place before it tears itself apart, and Wonder Woman agrees to help out. Meanwhile, kind of like the B story in this issue is something's going on in Gotham where pretty much everyone is pretty much stuck in one part of the city, and they're all like terrified, and Batman kind of initially picks up something's not right, and we kind of see how these two stories are going to converge within. And that's basically the story. Batman leaves on this cliffhanger where initially he thought how everyone was afraid, and he thought it was Scarecrow, and turns out he realized here he's not right. and he's kind of stuck in his hypnotic tramp where he's, I'm not going to say scared to the point where he's motionless, but he sort of is. What interests me about this story is that it can, was also what's happened also on the other side. What's really driving that potential peace treaty or the peace agreement within the people of that place is that there's the death of a key person within that really is driving the divide. So you see the potential Batman crossing over into this other world, and that you might be able to see some detective aspects on how he's going to solve the murder. Because right now it looks like an innocent boy who was in the vicinity of the corpse now being blamed, and initial feedback from Wonder Woman is that he didn't do it. So how Batman's going to shake it off, whatever trance he's in, so he can maybe help out and again use his detective skills, which I always love that aspect of Batman. Maybe he'll help out the case. Maybe that's why Batman is kind of in the position he's in right now. This other worldly entity kind of realizes that maybe this is all just a setup, and as long as Batman's not there, he might not be able to crack the case, and this person who's kind of set up as the scapegoat can kind of take the fault. We'll see. The story, while it was okay, I think this is really heavily Wonder Woman centric and deals with a lot of the Wonder Woman mythos, to be perfectly frank, dealing with the Greek gods and whatnot. It's heavily predicated on that. So it might be a challenge for those who don't really read a lot of Wonder Woman or familiar with that type of storytelling. But I will say the art in here is just superb. Liam Sharp just hit a home run on this thing, and it is just beautiful to look at as well. It's great. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited this came out, and it's definitely a fun read. One, again, I would recommend, but just kind of go in there with some expectations that, again, if you're not reading a lot of Wonder Woman before, the whole Steve Trevor part's really not that one before. It's more like the references to the Greek gods and that type of thing. If you're not familiar with it or have a lot of reading with that type of aspect of storytelling, it might be a little bit of a struggle, but still, the art is great, the story is good, and definitely excited to see how this wraps up. I give this a solid 3.5 out of 5. Liam Sharp definitely kicking off this series off on a good note so far. So anyway, those are my thoughts on these two books relatively quickly, but it's okay. Again, hopefully I have time later this weekend if my books come in time too, which lately has been a trend where it hasn't been happening, but I would love to be able to talk Batman Sins of the Father if I can get my book in and read in time so I can talk about it over the weekend, but we'll see. That's why I'm kind of glad I got this video out the way, so in case I want to, I can go right to that book and kind of talk about it with everybody. So anyway, hit me up in the comments below what you thought about this video and these two in particular books. We will bat chat and go from there. So until next video, take care.